Hey, what's going on, everybody? It is Aaron Trevino here, and we have a terrific guest from the great state of Kansas. How you doing, Jose?
I'm doing great. How are you, Aaron?
Doing well. I can't complain. It's been a good day, and I'm excited for this chat.
Thank you. So am I. A little nervous.
Yeah, no, don't be. It's gonna be a good time. So, for those of us who aren't familiar with you, could you introduce yourself?
Well, hi, my name is Jose Esparza. I'm a real estate agent in the state of Kansas. I am under the Wichita branch, one of the biggest cities in Kansas. I've been in the business for 2 years and just recently closed 23 transactions for the year 2020. So there we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, for those of us who aren't too familiar, with the state of Kansas, what are kind of the major cities and maybe the capital or kind of where you see most of the growth?
Well, the capital of Kansas is Topeka, which is about 2.5 hours from where I am locally, probably an hour and a half from Wichita. Wichita is the biggest city in Kansas. A lot of people think also that Kansas City is in Kansas, but most of it is in Missouri, so we just get a small portion of Kansas City. Uh, and then that's a little rundown of Kansas. For the market currently, everything's just off the shelves. It's so hot out right now. With the interest rates being so low, demand is high. So for every 10 buyers that we have, there's only like one listing. Um, and it's just crazy out here, which is a good thing. We like having a buyer's market. Seller's market, they're a little bit more scarce because that's when you get into the situation where you have a lot of homes but not a lot of buyers. So anyways, long story short, we like it. And I mixed up my phrasing. It's a seller's market now. It's not a buyer's market.
Yeah, absolutely. So, if you could you kind of run us through maybe the difference between buyers and sellers market?
Yeah, as I mentioned, buyer's market typically inclines to the definition of we don't have a lot of buyers. It means that the market is scarce for buyers. Whereas in a seller's market, there are scarce sellers. So there's not a whole lot of listings or a whole lot of sellers willing to sell. And currently, that's the situation because of the pandemic. A lot of people do not want to move. I know a lot of people lost their jobs that they were going to go to. So they were going to list their homes in the spring of 2020 and ended up not listing because they lost their job and wherever they were going to go. So right now, if you look on the market, I invite you guys go to realtor.com, look up how many houses are pending compared to how many houses are for sale. You'll see a major difference where pending is like everywhere and active listings are very little.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, it sounds like you have quite a bit of transactions under your belt. So you got started at what, about 2018, you said, right?
I got my license in 2018. It was I was 19 at the time, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew that real estate was something that I've always liked doing. I got involved in real estate by watching videos of how to wholesale real estate, which I have yet to do. I don't know how to wholesale real estate. It seems pretty simple, but then again, I'm not in a huge market area as Austin as where you're at, Aaron, where you probably have 20 wholesalers there or maybe more. Um, but that's how I got into real estate. And then in 2018, I got it in August. I didn't do anything because I was still a full-time employee. And in 2019, when spring came around in May, I got started. I only had 4 transactions in 2019, which I was still at the time. I pretty much worked as an agent for the summer. And once winter came around, I went back to work, the same 9 to 5. I hate 9 to 5s, by the way. They're just not for me. So at the end of winter for 2020, I guess the beginning of 2020, that's when I decided, you know what, to heck with this. I'm just going to go, full onto real estate and, give my best shot at it. And I was still living with my parents. So I said, I have really nothing to lose. I can fall back on them if I have to, which I was very fortunate because of my age and stuff like that, that I could do something like that. So I gave it all I got. I ended up moving out of my parents in the summer, and I live alone now, well, with my girlfriend. And it was very scary at first, because then you're like, you don't know when your next paycheck is going to come, stuff like that. But I just kept my head down and I kept going. And 23 transactions later, here we are.
Yeah, that's awesome. It kind of seems like you're also having to make a psychological shift as well, transitioning from that 9 to 5 mentality into, where you are now, right?
Oh my goodness. Yeah. It's tough. It really is tough. You got to put a lot on your shoulders and a lot on yourself to make this happen. I'm sure you're aware of it, Aaron. You're self-employed, right?
No, no. So I'm working lending during the day.
Gotcha. Well, that's still sort of self-employed, I guess. You make a lot of relationship with realtors and stuff like that?
Yeah, definitely. So, we work with a lot with realtors, we work with investors, builders, developers, lots of different types of people.
Sure. Got it.
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. So I'm just curious as well, kind of, what was that transition like? Like, what are some things that you had to think about now as opposed to when you were working your 9 to 5?
Um, well, now I feel like, I have my feet wet for sure. Now it's time to really hit the ground running and make 2021, 2 or 3 times better. I see my broker. I have a really good role model. My broker is a really great role model. She kills it in this county that I'm in. She like does over 60 transactions herself. So having her alone on my side and helping me out through the process and stuff like that, um, it has really helped out a lot, because when you pass the real estate exam, and this is for everyone that doesn't know this, you do not know what you're getting yourself into. They teach you how to pass the exam, but they don't teach you about real estate. You will not know how to sell real estate until you get into real estate. When you get your office and you're in the ground, in the stores or in the ground, and you're working whatever lead that it is that you have, that is when you learn the most. You do not learn by a textbook. You do not learn by YouTube videos. You literally have to go out there, get your feet wet, do an open house. Open houses are great ways to get your feet wet, and just hit the ground. I mean, that's how you build. And I'm sure it's the same rule for everything. That's how you learn the most, is doing it, not learning about it.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot to be said for it. I mean, you can do plenty of reading in a textbook, whatever book there is, but sometimes you just kind of need to get down to it and actually start, right?
Yep. Just get that first world experience. There's nothing like it. There's no better teacher.
Yeah, absolutely. I guess the world's teaching you, and 24 transactions later, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, not everything's peachy. I mean, there's a lot of cursing in the background. There's a lot of stress in the background, but I've been kicked down before, where I have a really good family friend. And this is what I hate about real estate, is a lot of times the people that you know most are the ones that will not do business with you. So don't go into it thinking, oh, hey, my uncle's going to buy a house for me, or my best friend's going to buy a house for me. No, that's not the way it works. A lot of times my business, I want to say 90% of it has been strangers. I had a good friend of mine that I was showing houses to, and this was earlier in the year, and they ended up telling me that they weren't interested in the Kansas market anymore, so they were going to go look in Oklahoma. I said, that's fine. If you're back interested in this market, let me know. A couple weeks went by. They ended up buying a house with my broker, and that kind of hurt me, because I'm like, oh, really? Like, I really wasted all this time on you guys, and that's how I got paid back. But I was hurt for a little bit, but after that, I'm like, you know what? It doesn't matter. Let's just keep going. This is a business. You're gonna take some uppercuts like that, but as long as you have a good chin and keep progressing, I think everything should be fine.
Yeah, that always stings when things like that happen, right? But I guess like anything, it's kind of a learning experience as you go.
Yeah, 100%. It's a learning experience, so don't take it don't take it personal.
Yeah, so well, I mean, there's a lot to be said. You still have 90% of your business coming from strangers, right?
Yeah, yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I mean that's a big reflection on your hard work and kind of the effort that you're making, right?
Yeah, yeah. And the great thing is, I know I look older, especially because of my beard. I've been trying to grow it, and a lot of people don't think that I am the as young as I am, 21. Sometimes they think I'm older. I don't know. I never mention my age. I just don't. If they ask, I'll let them know, hey, I'm 21. Or if they ask how long I've been in the business, I'm going on 3 years now. That's about it. I keep it short and sweet.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you have those transactions under your belt, then what difference does it make, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you're the market expert. When you got to put yourself in their shoes. Do they know as much real estate than you do? Most of the time, the answer is no. So, yeah, you're the expert, not them.
Yeah, fair enough. So for you, in terms of the sorts of transactions that you've done, are you mostly focusing on single family homes or particular parts of town, or what are you kind of looking at?
As an agent, I focus mainly on single family homes. I have yet to sell well, I have sold a multi-unit, but it was just like a 2-unit kind of deal. I haven't sold commercial buildings, stuff like that. Mostly just residential single family homes. Yep, that's my bread and butter.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. That's great. So if you could, maybe could you talk a bit more of kind of the process, maybe of, let's say that I do want to buy a home. I know that I want to buy a home in your area. Where should I even start? What's kind of the process?
Well, for me personally, I'm very open. A lot of agents will want you to go get a pre-approval, go talk to a bank first, and then come back and talk to me. I'm flexible. If you guys want to see a home, I will show you the home, and then keep in touch with you just to see where you're at in the process and stuff like that. Because a lot of times I work with new home buyers, first-time home buyers, and the process is just overwhelming. So I try to keep it simple. Hey, you like the house, down the road, let's go look at it. Why not? If it's open, I'll make time for them. If not, we'll set an appointment, go look at it. But for the process, mainly is you almost always want to go talk to the bank first. Or if you have cash, even better. Cash is king. But almost always you want to go talk to the lender. You want to ask for how to get pre-approved and what the type of loans are, because there's multiple types of loans for acquiring a home. We can talk FHA, we can talk VA, we can talk USDA, we can talk conventional, whatever other loan that they have in house. From that, as soon as you get your pre-approval letter, then you can start shopping seriously. What I mean by saying that is, if you were to find the home that you really want to make an offer on, hey, you're a serious and ready buyer. You already have this pre-approval letter. Let's get this rolling. And if you really want to make that offer, we can definitely help you make a really good offer, because like I told you, it's a seller's market and not a buyer's market. There's buyers everywhere. So you better have a good offer. Aside from that, if you win the offer, great, congratulations. Now we begin the loan approval process and stuff like that. And we go into the inspection periods of a home. For lender purposes, your agent, your lender should provide you with a list of everything they need, which is like W-2s, last 2 years of your tax returns. I want to say bank statements, your pay stubs, and all this other information that might overwhelm you. For the agent purposes, we go into inspections right away, which determines what the home is currently at, as far as if there's any damages, sort of termites. We'll have a termite inspection. We'll have a private home inspector, which is optional in the state of Kansas. I don't know if it is anywhere else. And after that comes through and you get your home inspection report back, then you have the option to renegotiate any findings that inspector found. So let's say that there's a lot of moisture and mold in the home and stuff like that. we can negotiate or ask the seller to take care of those items. And if they don't, we can, in good faith, negotiate dropping the price a little bit or working some type of deal out. And finally, if you just don't like it, you can back out of the contract. Your earnest money should be saved because of that. If not, then you know you have a crappy seller. Which earnest money means that's sort of your deposit towards making your offer. That deposit will be seen at the closing table when you go to close. So after you've negotiated the inspections and stuff like that, then you pretty much ready to close, as long as your lender tells you that you have it clear to close. And bada bing bada boom, we wait and go to the closing table, sign a bunch of papers, and congratulations, you have a home. So little short, simple. I know that was long.
No, that was perfect. So maybe to kind of revert back a bit, for those of us who don't know, what exactly is a pre-approval letter from a bank?
So the same way that you ask for any kind of loan is the same way that you'll go in there and ask for a pre-approval letter for a home. This letter consists of, and I actually have one here at my desk. So
You better.
yeah, I'm ready. I'm serious. When it comes to my business, I'm serious.
Yes,
This
sir.
is called a uniform residential loan application. It's a legal size letter application that goes into detail of, what is it that you're looking for? What kind of loan? What's your name? Down here, it asks for how you're going to make your earnest money payment, whether it's check or via money order or some sort of wire transfer or ACH. Down here, they get into the details of your residential history. Where do you live? Where do you rent? Stuff like that. Back down here, this is where your work history goes into place. Up here, they talk about, what kind of debts to income ratios you have. And then down here, it asks about your assets. What kind of assets do you have to your name, such as cars, other houses, bank accounts, how much cash you have on hand, stuff like that. Over to the left, you have your monthly payments of what you have as far as debts that you owe. Down here just goes into the same scenario of income to debt ratio. And then down here, you just sign it. And then you give this to your lender. They're going to run your credit through your social security number. And they should give you an answer within about, I want to say within a day. Sometimes it takes 2 days, but those are your slower lenders. So yeah, that's pretty much what a pre-approval letter consists of. It'll tell you what you're pre-approved for. For example, you go to the bank, you tell them, hey, I want a $600 monthly payment. Great, you're pre-approved for $100,000, something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything really helps, especially in a competitive market, right?
For sure. And loans also matter. I don't know if you guys know this, but I mentioned the different kind of loans. There's 4 different that I typically, talk about. It's your 3 government loans and then your 1 non-government loan, which is your conventional loan. And just like the name sounds, it's convenient. So the other 3 are your VA, your FHA, and your USDA. These 3 are typically more strict because they want the home to be safer, more sound. They will not allow cracked windows to be a part of the loan. They won't allow peeling paint outside of the home. They won't allow handrails to not be on steps. Just little stuff like that, concrete being cracked, foundation cracks, stuff like that. They can be very strict when it comes to those loans. So the conventional loan is almost always the seller's top choice. So if you bring them a conventional loan, hey, you're going to get the house most likely. If you're bringing them in an FHA, USDA, and the home is questionable, you may want to rethink about your offer or rethink about your loan. So just keep that in mind. You can't go shopping for crappy homes when you're on government loans.
Yeah, that's definitely a very helpful piece of advice, especially for someone, maybe it's their first time, maybe they're in a new market, and maybe it's their first time even looking for a loan, right?
100%. Yep, 100%. But a lot of first-time home buyers like the USDA loan because that one requires 0% down. And a lot of times people don't know, but when you are at the closing table, there's a lot of fees that will have to be paid at the closing table. Those are called closing costs and prepaids. Closing costs are basically what the loan provider charges to close the loan, as well as what the title insurance and title closing fees are, stuff like that. The prepaids are typically your lender wants a full year of insurance in advance, as well as some money in reserves for taxes, for private mortgage insurance, and I can't even think right now as to what else qualifies as a prepaid, but there's a lot of fees, inspections and stuff like that. So if you're going to buy $100,000 home, be prepared to bring about $6,000 for a USDA loan. I want to say, for conventional and stuff like that, I'd say be prepared to have about $8,000 to $10,000 saved up if you do not ask the seller for seller help in closing costs, which you can do. But that all just depends on your negotiation in the offer. Make sure you get a good agent.
Yeah, make sure to hit that one home. But
Yes. Don't just go to your buddy.
no, you brought up a very interesting part there about kind of negotiating with your seller. Could you kind of elaborate a bit more on that?
So the negotiation phase, when you're in offering, you like the house a lot. You, depending on the loan, and this should be clarified by your lender. I'm just an agent. Don't sue me, bro. But when it comes to the offer, just know that typically the government loans, you can ask up to 6% of seller help in the closing costs or prepaids. That means that if you're buying $100,000 home, you can ask the seller up to $6,000 in seller help as a credit for you to buy their home. So if your closing costs, prepaids, and all your fees added up at the closing table are $6,100, hey, guess what? The seller's going to cover you $6,000. You're just going to cover the other $100. I've actually had clients that have gotten money back. They've gotten their earnest money deposit back, or they've gotten more money on top of that if they wanted it. I think one of them got like an extra $200 back in their pocket because the offer was substantial compared to what the home was worth, and also what everything came out to be at the final table. So anyways, in offerings, you have that option. For conventional loans, typically it's 3%. You can't ask anything above that. But yeah, it's a little point.
Yeah, absolutely. It's definitely something good to consider and think about, especially if it's your first time buying a home, right?
Yes, yeah. So if you're buying a home with a with an agent and you're new, ask them about how you can get help in closing costs. They should know.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious as well in terms of, maybe square footage or floor plans, or particular types of homes that people are buying. What are you seeing? Are they more 4-bedroom, 3-bedroom? What sort of amenities do they have?
Everybody wants the 3-bed, 2-bath. Everybody, at least. Some people would prefer 4-bed, 2-bath. A lot of people do not want to be underneath the 1,000 square foot home. And the reason being is most likely because you just can't fit in something like that. Maybe you can if you're in a bigger city and you're used to living in smaller square footage, but not in Kansas or Texas or Oklahoma, where you have vast spaces of land that, you're free to roam if, they are your land. We have space here. So a lot of people like to stick to at least 3-bed, 2-bath. Nothing underneath 1,200 square foot, and if you got a growing family, then you better be looking above 1,500 square foot. Just for that matter. And a lot of times, what's cool around here is we have basements, and a lot of times people finish those basements, so those count as living square footage areas. And I won't go into the basements because there's a lot of regulations and stuff like that. But just know that you cannot consider a room downstairs in a basement as a bedroom if it does not have an access space for you to crawl out of in case of a fire. If it's got a tiny square rectangular window that you can't even fit through, it's not considered a bedroom. It's considered a living space because you could be down there if it's finished. But a lot of people will consider them bedrooms. And I'm like, no, not technically, not according to the fire marshal code,
Yeah.
which they need that egress, that the window there and a ladder to climb through.
Sure, it's interesting how they kind of put that restriction there, I guess, for safety, but also, making that distinction between, hey, this is living space and this is not, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's a bedroom or not, I don't know.
Yeah. No,
Some
that's
people don't know that.
yeah, fair enough. I mean, we don't have basements here in Texas. I've only been in basements in other states.
Oh,
Um,
really?
yeah.
Wow. Okay. I
Yeah.
guess Austin's just a whole lot bigger, right?
A little bit. I mean, it's definitely it was a pretty sleepy college town, and it's really expanded and grown a lot, and it's going to continue to grow.
Good. I'll definitely have to come visit.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Um, but yeah, no, that was a great explanation, basically, of kind of what people are looking for. They're looking for those three twos. In terms of amenities, is there anything in the market you're seeing people are wanting particular amenities to their home, or?
I'd just pretty much say garage. Garage is a huge amenity, or if it's got a separate shop, that's a huge selling point. Um, I've gotten to sell a couple of those, where they have the 2-car attached, but they also have a 2-car detached, which people love because, they can go work on whatever project it is that they have. Typically it's males, that like to get their hands dirty and, work with cars and engines and all sorts of stuff. So it's pretty cool. I've always wanted to get into, making a model or a build or something like that, but that'll come down, my later years. So right now, I think I'm in the building phase where I'm trying to build my wealth. That's where I'm at. I don't know if you know me, if you heard of MeetKevin, but that's okay. So MeetKevin, he's a local real estate agent, broker, and investor in California. He's a great guy to look up on YouTube. But I've been learning a lot from him just because of the way he works himself, I guess. I don't know. I can correlate along those lines and stuff like that. So, Kevin's a great guy to go look up.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just curious, does he have kind of like, is it more of like he takes you step by step through things, or what is it about Meet Kevin that you like?
So Kevin exploded in the earlier 2010 era, where he was an agent. He came from Florida and moved to California, and I don't know, just the guy has a crazy workflow, and everything he does just seems to pretty much turn into gold. I'm sure you've met someone that's like that, where everything they touch just turns to gold or something like that. And I think Kevin has that sort of touch. And so he uploads daily YouTube videos, and he doesn't just upload one. He uploads like 3 or 4. I mean, the guy's a multimillionaire, but he just loves doing what he does. And he's been going bigger on YouTube lately, rather than real estate, but he's still into real estate. He still buys homes, stuff like that. And what I really want to do this next year is work on building my real estate portfolio, as far as buying those homes where they become investments, and then refinance them, get money out of them, go fund the next deal, something like that. I've been able to help investors here do stuff like that, but because I have been self-employed for a little less than 2 years, according to my tax returns, I don't qualify for a home loan. A lot of people don't know that, but when you become self-employed, you really just rely on yourself. You're not on a 9 to 5. So a lot of times banks will see you as a riskier investment. So they will not loan you. I mean, it's easier to get loans for cars and stuff like that, but for a home, it's like, whoa, dude, you're overstepping the bar here. You got to have your tax returns, and they better be good, because if they're not, if you're asking for a lot back in, when you do your tax returns and you're asking for, uh, you're doing a lot of deductions and stuff like that, that can hurt you bad when it comes to you shopping for loans and stuff like that. Because they'll look at your, you made 50,000 here. Well, now you've deducted 30,000. You've only really made 20,000. Does that make sense? No. So they'll pretty much not loan you what it is that you're looking for if you're looking for a higher amount.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that can be tough. You being self-employed and having to deal with that, right?
Yes, it's tough. So right now, I'm in that building phase where, hey, I got to prove myself to not just myself, but to banks and to anyone else that's willing to roll the ball on me. So
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. No, it's a great phase to be in. Being able to build, and so it sounds like you're looking to eventually get into investing and start cash flowing and having those rentals, right?
yes, residential has been a huge goal for me. Just recently, I had the opportunity to buy, and yes, these are real numbers. There was a home that was listed for sale just last month, December 2020. It went on the market for $26,000. It was a 2-bed, 1 bath. I want to say about 1,200 square feet. So I had a good living room and a good dining room space, as well as a nice kitchen and even an extra spare room for the utility. I didn't jump on the opportunity when I saw it. I waited, and I talked to some guys that I deal with here, investor wise and stuff like that. And I told them, hey, what do you think about this? And they asked me, they said, well, what do you think it'll rent for the way it's sitting? And as far as the home, I would give it, from a scale on 1 to 10 on how nice it was, I'd probably give it like a 5, because it was outdated, but it wasn't horrible. I would give it a 5 just because it was outdated, but the bones were really good. The roof was questionable. It probably could last for another 5 years, but it probably needed a tune-up or replacement. But other than that, I had a local agent here in the office. I asked him, because he's the one that sold it. He sold it to one of his investors that he deals with. He ended up renting it for about $625, which I know is cheap, especially Austin rental prices. But here in Kansas, that is normal. And when I was looking at getting the $26,000 loan, I was thinking of doing like a 5-year loan. And I think the payments were going to come out to be like high 400, stuff like that. So I would have cash flowed about $125. That's including taxes, insurance, and the property price for 5 years. I didn't jump on it, and I've been kicking myself in the foot for that. But there are a lot of opportunities, so I'm just waiting on the right one. And as soon as it comes up, hey, I'm jumping all over it. But back to where I want to be, my goal is to definitely have a ton of real estate under me, so that pays for my living expenses, and then maybe some extras so that I can start investing and stuff like that. I just recently opened up my first brokerage account to start investing in stocks, which is something that I've always been wanting to do. And thankfully, because of real estate, I've been able to fund some companies that I think are going to do good, and so far I've been doing okay in that. So, and I'm talking like I just started last week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
sky's the limit, huh?
the sky's the limit. Yeah. I don't know. I don't want to work for somebody for 40 years just to get a pension and then maybe not even living off that pension or Social Security, because I don't think that works. And I don't think it's going to work when we reach that age. So that's just my opinion.
Yeah, yeah, no, it's I mean, especially if you're, in the younger generation like us, you basically you need to think outside the box, right?
100%. You do. I mean, you can't follow what your parents did. It worked for them, maybe, and it worked for their parents, but not for it may not work for you. So you got to think outside the box and be a step ahead of where the market and the economy is going. And
Yeah.
we can dive really deep into it. So like I started learning also about cryptocurrency. And I'm sure you've heard about a lot about cryptocurrency, especially lately because Bitcoin's just going to the moon and stuff like that. But I learned that the blockchain network, which I still don't understand all of it, but this blockchain network, and I recommend everybody going to Coinbase, and learning about what this is all about. And they'll pay you. They'll pay you in their cryptocurrency, and you can cash it out and use them as real dollars. I think I got paid like $40 just for watching, 10, 15, 30 1-minute videos, and they'll pay you like $3 per video if you watch it and you answer the answer correctly, the question correctly. But long story short, I think blockchain network really is the future. And the reason being is because the government, the Fed, actually just announced that 2 days ago. I think it's J.P. Morgan is there, and Chase Stanley. The bank is actually looking at integrating blockchain network, that blockchain network, in order to keep people's savings accounts more profitable. I don't know if you guys know what the savings account rate is right now, but it's really like under 1%. These banks, it's costing them money to save, to keep your money in there. So a lot of times they have to invest that money in order for them to get a profit in return. But what they're realizing is with cryptocurrency, since they don't have to keep a physical amount of cash on hand for your money, they can turn your dollars into cryptocurrency, into the blockchain network. And it's even more safe than it is now, because blockchain network is a decentralized network compared to if you have a centralized bank. A hacker can go in there, and if he messes, I don't know, if he messes up the entire network, then you're screwed, or that bank is screwed, and they have thousands and thousands of dollars that they need to pay to fix that to fix that problem, to recorrect it. So in the blockchain network, because it's literally, just think of lines and blocks, stuff like that, it's ultra secure. So anyways, I'm really excited about it because the government, the Fed, has actually announced they're looking into the blockchain network. So I think it's going to be huge. I think everybody should keep an eye out open for that.
Yeah, absolutely. It's had you said this years ago, you'd probably have a few skeptical opinions from different people, but at least now it's kind of hit the mainstream, and people are talking about it.
Yeah, and you can see what happened to Bitcoin just lately. PayPal has bought a ton of shares of Bitcoin because they've integrated it into PayPal. And PayPal is huge. Everybody knows PayPal. And also Cash App. Cash App has integrated Bitcoin as a payment platform. And I think I don't understand the entire hype behind Bitcoin because it's so volatile. I do not think it's speculative, but I think it's very volatile. Just yesterday, it dropped like 10% from 40,000 over to 30,000 back again, and now it's at 35,000. I don't understand it. I don't want to invest my money into that, but I do think that the blockchain network is just going to disrupt this entire economy. And the really cool thing that I found out yesterday, because I was watching some of those Coinbase videos, is you can create and you can send money. I don't know if you've ever sent money, Aaron, but I know my parents, they send money to Mexico to their families and stuff like that. And I think they said that people that send US dollars over to whatever place that they're sending, it could be the yen, the euro, or the Australian dollar, whatever it is, the peso. It's a $400 billion industry as far as how many transactions happen per year. And so the blockchain network actually allows for the transaction to happen within, I think, 5 seconds, instead of having to go to the store, sending them through, I don't know what they use, Western Union, let's use them for an example, having to, verify the funds, having to, show up with an ID and get paid and stuff like that, or convert the money from US dollars to peso. That takes a long time. And so the blockchain network does it in less than 5 seconds, and they convert the money from dollars to what that dollar would be worth in their currency. So I think that's just huge. And there's actually like half of a cent of a transaction fee per transaction. Whereas when you send currency to elsewhere, I think they charge an average of 7% of what you're sending. I think like $20 minimum. I don't know what it is, but it blew my mind. I'm like, are you serious? The blockchain network is going to be huge.
Yeah.
So I'm excited about it. You should do some of your research, Aaron.
Yeah, that we will. No, so if you're watching this video now on January 13th, we will have someone talking about crypto next week. So stay tuned.
Oh, heck yeah. That's awesome. I'll
Yeah.
probably be joining. So yeah,
Yeah.
cryptocurrency, I think it's definitely up there. So it's going to be along real estate. So
Yeah, and what's interesting too, I don't know if you've heard of like Ethereum, people even trading or, even making purchases through Bitcoin or, through crypto to buy physical real estate, right?
I actually haven't. No.
Yeah,
No.
I want to say I want to say Latvia. It's some Eastern European country, and they've actually done that. You could buy a house with Ethereum.
Oh, okay. No, that makes sense. Yes, I think it's Austria that has actually integrated cryptocurrency into their economy, which
Uh-huh.
is crazy because it's just going to make everything so much simpler.
We'll have to
What I don't like personally right now is how the U.S. economy just keeps printing money, more and more of it. So the U.S. dollar isn't worth much anymore. You can't buy, and then inflation gets in the way, which I was told by an investor, and I hope I leave this with you guys today as a message, is the three principles that squish, well, the three things that squish your wealth are taxes, inflation, and personal debt. Those three things will keep you from building your wealth. And so far, I've been able to manage taking care of my personal debt. I think I just have my one car loan that I have to pay off. Um, Inflation, figure out something other than the US dollar that doesn't go up or gets devalued. And then the last one is taxes. Be smart about your taxes. Which for me personally, I'm getting taxed up the ass because I'm a self-employed employee. I'll probably end up going as an S corp later on this year, or maybe next week. I don't know, because I don't want to pay a lot of taxes. I mean, nobody wants to pay taxes? So normally I get a tax return because I'm an employee of someone. But now that I'm self-employed, I'm scared to see what my taxes are this year. I really am. My broker paid $60,000 last year.
Yeah.
It's insane. I don't want to pay that much.
Yeah, that's definitely some good homework for people to do, to look at those three things and kind of make a little game plan.
Yeah, for sure. So,
Yeah, absolutely. So, is there anything else you'd like to really hammer home?
um, get in now. Whatever it is that you're looking at getting into, just get in now. Don't worry about what the market is doing, how the economy is going, if the coronavirus is affecting it. Just get in. Whatever it is. If you're going to buy a home, get in. Interest rates are at an all-time low. They project, and I think the Fed has announced that interest rates will continue to maintain being low until 2022 or even 2023, but nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. So just get in now. If you lose some money, make that a learning experience. If you don't, hey, you probably made some money. So good job. You're doing something right.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. So, where can we find you? How can we get in touch with you if we're looking for some advice on the Kansas market?
Well, my real estate Facebook page, and I got to pull it up here. So my name is Jose Esparza. Esparza spelled Esparza, and I have my Facebook page here. Jose Esparza, real estate agent, BHHS PenFed Realty. BHHS stands for Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. PenFed Realty is our affiliated real estate credit union that works alongside Berkshire Hathaway. I like the name. I really did.
Yeah, it's kind of
That's probably why I chose to be a part of Berkshire Hathaway, because nobody else has this name. And if you know anything about Berkshire Hathaway, Warren Buffett is the real estate investor and tycoon of Berkshire Hathaway. So
yeah.
I think it's pretty cool. I've been to Omaha a couple of times, and I've actually wanted to try to find him in Omaha because he lives there.
Uh-huh.
But I've never made the search or anything like that. I think I've only been there like 2 or 3 times.
Wow.
So we got to go see Warren Buffett's home. It's the
Yeah.
only home that he ever bought. So
Exactly.
even though he's like ranked top 10 billionaires of the world,
Uh-huh.
he still has his first original home.
I didn't know that. That's interesting, man. We'll have to head to Omaha, and he could be a featured podcast guest, huh?
For sure, for sure. But any other website, I'm on Facebook. My user tag on sixth with a 6th, as well as my actual website is called joseslistings.com. So there you have it.
Very cool. All right, Jose.
Yep.
Well, I really appreciate you coming on. I've learned a heck of a lot, not only about you, but also about the Kansas market and just the whole real estate process in general. So thank you so much.
Sure. We should do this again in 6 months to a year and then see how we're all doing. So
Yeah, I'm looking forward to having you on, whether it's this summer or maybe towards the end of the year. But it's gonna be a good one.
heck yeah, Aaron. Well, hey, good luck in your business and everything else. So I would like to talk to you about your friend that's looking in the Wichita market, because I definitely would love to help him. So we'll stay in touch on that.
Yeah, absolutely. Will do, Jose. We'll
All
talk to you.
right. Everyone have a good night. Bye.